This is great news. I repeat, this is great news. If you are in child support and you're 1099 workers, you can file a lawsuit within the state of New York. Yes, you can file a lawsuit within the state of New York. This is great news. You will need the statute as well as the booklet. Let me explain. It's available on our website, on our masterclass, and on our app, which is childsupport.newzenler.com. So one of those criteria is whether or not child support can be leveraged against 1099 workers. We've said this on this channel. 1099 workers are not included in a child support program. Now, many states have attempted to write statute specifically to include 1099 workers. Many have been unsuccessful, and the reason is this. Because the federal government says that 1099 workers are not included, the states cannot write a statute again to compete with the federal government as a result of the supremacy clause. So states like New York and California will say that they have jurisdiction over 1099. They do not. Texas, all these states says that they do. They do not. They cannot write that statute. So there is no explicit. In the state of New York, the legislators got together and expanded what is called a child support program, which real name or official name is the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance. That is Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance. And they had a conference in which they discussed independent contractors in 2021. As a result of that conference, they expanded what is called the New Hire Reporting of Independent Contractors, starting January 1st, 2022. That is, the changes are Chapter Law 504, signed on October 25th of 2021. Employers must report independent contractors, that is, contractor who has revenues of $2,500 as part of their base contract. This particular law that passed, it's called 1242, and it goes into effect January 7th. It was passed on January 7th, 2021, and it goes into effect a year later. Now, if you notice, the assemblymen or government people of the House and the Senate are Cahill, Griffin, Jacobson, and the like. So here's a question. Is your congressperson, your state representative, signed on to this bill or co-sponsor this bill? That's an interesting question to research. New York. But as I research it further, this is what it says. The justification for doing this. It says that self-employed payers are among the difficult to collect child support. Businesses are not required in order to collect from independent contractors. Again, they are not required. So my video research was correct prior to this new law. But also take a look at the history. They've been attempting to pass this since 1999. As you can see there on the bottom, they've tried it every year in 2005, 2007, and 2013. So they've been trying a long time to get this bill passed. So in my opinion, in October 1984, the OCS, which is the Federal Office of Child Support, implemented a program called Project 1099, which provides that state child support agencies to have access to all independent workers. Unfortunately, they were unable to get the cooperation of the Internal Revenue Service, which is the IRS. They tried many times, as you can see, over the years. The bottom line is this. They're doing this only because of the money. (45 CFR 32). Here's a list of the top what they call garnishment based on states. New York is number 3 behind California and Texas. Then followed New York is Ohio and Florida. Now, as a result of child support going after independent contractors, there is a possibility of paternity fraud, both in New York and other states. I did a video called Paternity Fraud for the state of Tennessee. Please take time out and review that and see what's happening in that state, which is also happening in other states as well. Hello, my name is Chris, and in this session, we're going to dive into the existing 1099 law, as well as this new law in the state of New York, and to see if you can protect yourself from the child support agency. Now, we've said this. If you have questions or comments, please feel free to email us, as well as put your comments below the video so that others can see your questions. We also ask for donations. We do research from time to time. The child support laws are changing across all 50 states. As in this session, we're reviewing the New York. We ask for a $25 gift, but we'll take a $5 Cash App gift because anything that helps us to continue our research. You can also listen to our broadcast on the podcast, such as Spotify, Apple, Amazon, or your local podcast. The 1099 independent contractor is a definition that was created by the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, and it's part of Title 26 under Chapter 24. And there's a special categories for independent contractors. Also in Section 530, it states under the IRS rules that treat all workers in similar position the same, right? And file all the required returns, for example, 1099 miscellaneous. This is going to be significant. Keep that thought in mind. That 530 says treat all workers in similar categories the same. In the state of New York, most of the time there's a child support process. It occurs in front of what is called a support magistrate. And that's New York Statutes 205.32 NY.CRR. And this support magistrate is someone who's elected or hired by the chief administrator, right? But the first requirement is they have to be an attorney. But the other requirement they don't ask for is that this person needs to be a certified public accountant. They're not a licensed tax preparer. They're not a licensed bookkeeper. And they're not a licensed financial advisor. So here's the question. Should this individual be reviewing cases involved 1099 workers? As we pointed out, 1099 classification is a tax issue. Is this support magistrate qualified as any of these advisors within the tax world? We think they're not, and that we think that's a due process violation. Also, this is considered a private right because an independent contractor is private. Now, the case law is that there is no immunity for the state if it involved the violation of a private person. And that's Owen versus City of Independence. So the law in New York further says that 42 USC 653A or tax law 170H. Again, it's 42 USC 653A, which says that the state must maintain a directory of new hire. Employees must report newly hired and rehired employees on a W-4 or equivalent form, and they must report this information to the child support agency. Now, we just said the IRS says keep the classifications separate, right? So employees sign W-4. Well, what forms do independent contractors sign? So we researched 42 U.S. Code 653A further, and we found the reporting format is that, yes, employees they sign what's called a W-4, which contains your Social Security number. Also, if the employers decide not to cooperate, which is for both employees, new hire, and for 1099 contractors, the penalty is $25 for meeting these requirements. Yes, it's $25. I've said this I think a couple times, but understand this. The income withholding process, if your employer does not participate, your employer sold your information or provide your information to the state agency, and the penalty if they do not do that is $25. They sold you out for $25. Now it goes on further in Section 2. It says that if there's a failure to follow the guidelines in this code, it can be treated as a conspiracy between the employer and the employee of $500. Well, here's the question. If you don't have information on the independent contractor, is that considered conspiracy? There's nowhere in the statute it talks about the requirement for independent contractor. Next in the law, it says that employers must now report independent contractor's name, address, and Social Security number. Well, the definition of an independent contractor is that they're not operating under Social Security number. They're operating under what is called a federal tax ID. That's a specific ID set aside by the Internal Revenue Service for those who operate under an independent contractor. Likewise, if you're a one-person or single-person LLC, you also operate under that. Or what if you're a partnership doing a contract? The same thing. You provide your tax ID. Well, what happens if you don't provide your Social Security number? Well, put a comment down below. Tell me what you think happens. We researched further and says, all right, well, what are the liabilities for an employer if they don't abide by the codes? As we said, it's a $25 liability to the employer. Well, what if the employer decides to pressure the employee and the independent contractor to provide the information? Well, we found the code 31 USC 3720D, and it says that if the employer refuses to hire, or if there's questions about the income withholding or anything regarding the employees, well, you may sue in state or federal court or a court of competent jurisdiction. You can take out an action against the employer. Yes, in other words, you cannot be pressured into the environment, as well as there's attorney fees that can be involved. So that's the remedy for the employer. The employee, that is, the employee, that is, if the employer decides to pressure you for information. Well, what about the 1099 worker, the independent contractor? What recourse do they have? Well, here's what we found. U.S. Code 1028, aggravated identity theft. Here is where the federal rule says that if your information is provided where it's unauthorized, you can make a claim or file a lawsuit under 1028. And the case law is United States of America versus Naranjo Jr. Now, you know this, that the child support agency at various states and federal level is watching my videos. And I encourage them to watch my videos and comment if I make a statement or anything that I've reported that is incorrect. I welcome that. So this is just part of our research. We found that the aggravated identity theft may apply in a situation like this, and there are penalties associated with this. We further found, again, in my opinion, 22 USC 7102. It says, for any purpose which a law was not designed, or in order to exert pressure on someone, well, you have an action. There is a problem. It further reads that it's called involuntary servitude. That is, if a person did not enter into an environment, or they're forced into an environment, whether, seriously physical harm, well, it's called abuse of legal process. This is also another code in which can be used to protect oneself from an employer who decides to pressure you into this program. So I've raised many issues with this 1099, the new law of the 1099. And this to me are so many different remedies, discussions that should be had. If you're in the New York area and you're affected by this, whether prior to the law or even into the law, you have to schedule a consultation. This is not a 5-minute discussion. There are so many issues going on. There's so many items, and there are possible remedies for existing men that are on the child support or independent contractors, as well as the new ones are coming on. And this is not the forum, a public forum, for this channel to be discussing it. You have to schedule a consultation. We also provide other tools and techniques on our website called childsupport.newzenler.com. We have courses you can take. We have information that we provide a lot that we cannot provide on any platform or this platform. If you have any questions on this topic or any other topic, feel free to send us an email. It's chrish289@protonmail.com. We also ask that if you're new to this channel, welcome, and please like and subscribe. If you've already been a member of this channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button again. Sometimes the platform, removes your access. And also hit the notification bell. And we ask for donation. We do a lot of research. There are a lot of changes to the laws, and we try to stay on top of it. And all we ask for is to support us, help us to bring this information. Some of it may not be for you, but it could be for your neighbor. It could be for your friend, someone you've never met, someone in the barbershop. Somebody's going to benefit from the research that we provide. And all we ask for is a gift. So here we are. Please review other videos on this channel. And thanks. Have a great day.